You're listening to Artificium, Occulte, Venatores, a Shadowrun actual play podcast by Relative Dimension. In this episode, we have a guest player. I shall let him introduce himself before we move on to this episode. The Historian.
Hello, my name is Eric Ausley. I am the producer of the Gamerstable RPG podcast and Openly Gamer Theater. I play Blackthorn, an elven historian with a shadowed past. He's an expert in magical artifacts and frequently acts as a recovery specialist for the Vatican. He is a scholar, but also a capable field agent. I really appreciated being a guest in the game, and after you enjoy this, I welcome you to listen to some of my stories on openlygamer.com, including my Shadowrun tale, The Dragon Variation.
So last time, you guys found the chamber where the body was buried, and in there found hints that suggested there was something else in the wall, which you found a 2 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot stone block that was pushed out into a chamber adjacent to that. From there, there were engravings all around the place, telling a pictographic story of a guy who it was very hard to understand what was going on, but it seemed to tell a journey around this thing, which ended in, I guess, the body of the guy being buried and locked away in a tomb. There was something else that Adranus got out of it. I don't know if he shared it yet.
All I figured out is I found a foci in the tomb, which was what was it?
Wasn't it a magic mason's spatula?
Spatula, thank you.
Trowel, I think.
I think it was a trowel or a spatula. It's something you put cement or concrete down with, or some type of mortar.
Yes, there was a trowel that the Detect Magic spell registered as a spell foci. The Assensing did not.
What it did was I detected the foci through the Detect Magic spell, but when I tried Assensing it later on that night, I didn't get enough successes to determine anything beyond that was spell foci of some type.
There was also the statuette that was found, which was Aurichalcum, both of which dated from before the guy's presumed burial. But there was also something in the pictures that Adranus got. I sent you a message. I don't know if you got it or remember it. Did you remember that message or no?
Who? Sorry, not me, right?
Adranus.
Oh.
There was a message in the pictographic story that he got that he understood, that nobody else understood. I don't remember if he shared it or not.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I don't remember him sharing it, so...
Guy, are you there? You muted?
What happened to him?
The dark forces have locked him away.
I kind of feel like the thunderstorm in my area is making his connection bad. It is so loud I can barely hear you guys.
Well, I will assume that he did share it then, for sake of ease. There was a part in the story that showed the figure with the very crude drawing of standing there with a staff of office of some sort, bringing the dead back to life. And then in having Solomon check on the saint that you were talking about, there was also mention that was part of some of the miracles that were attributed to him in a very vague sense, was bringing the dead to life.
Wait, I do think he mentioned that now that you said that. I just wasn't... Yeah, I do remember that, bringing the dead back to life, because we were talking about it for a bit.
And I think the statuette, L mentioned that it was many thousands of years old, which shouldn't be possible because Aurichalcum needs a manosphere in order to exist.
Yep, I remember that.
And then leaving the church, you were spotted from somebody across the field. A spirit was sent to materialize in there and report, and whoever it was noticed the spirit and bolted, so the spirit didn't get too much of a look. Getting back to the hotel and discussing it, what's Silas' character? Marigold left and went to scout the castle from around the hour or two leading up to dawn. And then she noticed, well, that's what I'm going to change. You guys don't know what she noticed because she hasn't returned.
Oh.
Dawn has approached. She said she was going to be back not long after dawn. It is now a few hours after dawn, and you've gotten no word. Solomon has appeared in his AR visage and said that he has sent some information back to headquarters based on the reports of this, and they have arranged for an expert in somebody that they have used in the past in the arrangement of artifacts being appraised, identified, and things like that.
Fantastic.
The church has used him many times before, so he is a trusted figure in that case. He knows how to be discreet. And he is on his way to your area. He has contact information for you guys when he gets into the area.
Okay.
And then, what do you guys wish to do for the next few hours when Marigold doesn't return?
Well, I mean, we can assume the worst case is that she got herself caught.
Either that or, I don't know, is there any chance that she got reassigned without us being told about it last minute? Kind of like how we're kind of getting an expert in, kind of flown in overnight?
Well, no, they would have told us if she was reassigned.
The big wheel of bureaucracy turns, but it turns slowly.
Maybe, but I would think that given that she was literally in the middle of a mission, reassigning her would mean at the very least she would have informed us. So we would have gotten some sort of message from her. Hey, look, I'm doing this. We didn't get that, so we can let's assume that if she did not send us a message, that she could not send us a message.
Which means that they now know that we're here.
Maybe. I would assume she would resist interrogation. They could have just think that she's a local, or like a thief of some sort who's just broke in. That doesn't mean there's that she's given us up. And I would hope that she would be able to hold out at least for a day or two, without having to do so. So, I mean, if we're burned, then that's going to be a different story. But if we were burned, I'm sure we would have heard by now. They could have just busted in our door right now. So let's look at it a different way. We need to get another way into that building. If there were a lot of visitors, that would be easy. Given that there aren't that many, it's going to be difficult. But why don't we put up surveillance? Wait, do we have anything? We don't have
We don't have a rigger with eyes.
Yeah, and we don't have. Do we have a drone or anything? Do we have anybody who has a drone?
No, not yet.
We have a Jeff with a spirit.
Okay, well, I need more detail than that. I need a detailed description of every person that visits throughout the day, because then I could maybe possibly mimic or get a hold of and mimic whoever that is and get in the building.
So you want to set spiritual surveillance?
Yeah, the spiritual surveillance. I mean, could they give details? I'm not, because I know if they're manifested, they could, right?
He can communicate with his summoner telepathically with impressions and feelings as it's happening, so you could get some vague interpretations of what people look like.
Yeah, that's not going to help me. I would need much more specific than that. All right, well, I guess physical observation is probably our best bet.
Right, we've already seen somebody creepy coming and going, but that's about it.
Yeah. But we haven't staked the building out, so I think we need to set up a stakeout and really get a feel for who comes in and out of that building and when, and maybe get an idea of who they are once we get some photos in of who they are. So I think we need to put up a stakeout of the building.
Okay. We'll say we'll summon a small spirit to go search around. If you guys wish to physical surveillance around it, you can do that.
Yeah, and with that, I have food, so I'm going to go and get it real quick. I'll be right back.
Probably around 3 in the afternoon, 4 in the afternoon, Thorn's flight would have landed. There is a small airport, probably about an hour out of town, There are places that do car rentals and small family RV style, not RV, but like camper bus style rental vehicles for that. What has been rented is one of those that's not as touristy as possible, but it is functional. There are directions on where to drive to get into this town. It is a small town in the Ukraine, and you have been given comm codes to ping when you are in town with a notification that they know you are on your way.
Okay. Does the grid here, could I put the vehicle in dog brain and let it do itself?
Yes. There is very minimal matrix, but there is enough for grid guide on the main traveled roads.
Okay, so I'll put in the coordinates, have it drive, and then I'll just kind of review some of the information that I have on my pad until I get close enough, then I'll transmit the codes.
One thing you notice on the way here, there is spaces where there is no civilization, and there are actual reinforced metal fences, almost like animal enclosures, along the sides of the road, because there are almost like like twice as large as the biggest bull you've ever seen that seem to be awakened, and when vehicles are traveling up and down this road, they want to come up and say hi aggressively, so the fence is protecting vehicles on this stretch of road.
Okay. Yeah, if the vehicle isn't traveling fast enough, and these things seem to get like they're getting a little bit too frisky, I'll go ahead and take control and increase my speed.
Yeah, the vehicle's safe. The fences are almost like Jurassic Park style. They're big enough to hold dinosaurs back.
Okay.
So probably around 4:30, you're entering the town, and on this road, from this direction, there is a somewhat decent hotel that's on the edge of town that you're pulling up to. It seems to have an attached gift shop next to it. There are a few vehicles parked there. That is the recommended place to stop and check in at by your information that Solomon gave you.
Okay. I'll go into the gift shop and order an espresso as per my instructions.
Now, there is a young, older teenage man there. Welcome. You have a reservation. We don't get many reservations here. Your room is on the second story. He gives you a key, and it's actual physical key.
Okay, I'll thank him, and I'll. Is there like a cred stick reader, all that stuff there? Or are these people using hard currency?
They do have cred stick readers, but he also has a cash register.
Okay, I'll hand him one of my burner certified sticks for 100 and just leave it with him.
Yes, thank you. Do you have any bags that need taken up?
I just have my shoulder bag and just kind of nudge it up and indicate that I've got everything that I need, and I'll just without even saying much else to him, I just kind of turn and walk away from him.
He nods. As you turn, you pass one of those racks that has the pamphlets with the things to see around town. There is a lot of wilderness here. There is a few hunting tours that are advertised. See the cathedral, the castle. It looks like there is a spot on the rack that used to hold information for castle tours, but it's empty.
Okay. Anything beyond like hunting tours or anything that catches my eyes? Anything historical?
There would be the cathedral is historical, but you know that coming in. There's probably not the castle, but not too far from here, being Western Russia area, places to see some of the pre-century war bunkers that are still standing. This was a very defensive place. It's not too far from Poland, so there's some from the 20th century structures that are still around, and they do tours there, but they're not actually in the city. They are not they're outside of the city a bit.
Okay, I'll grab like at random like 3 or 4 pamphlets, idly looking like I'm kind of interested in some of these as I make my way up towards where the room that my key matches.
Okay. There's no strange surprises in the room. The rooms are functional. Not horribly large, but not super bare either. When you do walk in, do you have any aversion to watching AR at any given time?
Nope, not at all.
Okay, so Solomon kind of reses into appearance when you walk in. I hope the flight was suitable.
It was adequate.
Good. Your contacts are not. They are. He kind of looks around. They seem to be out in the field at the moment. Would you like me to let them know you're here, or would you like to?
You go ahead. I'll get freshened up while they do.
He nods and de-reses.
Yeah, and then I'll just get cleaned up and presentable, so that way when they do return, or at least when I'm given somewhere to meet them, I don't look road weary or anything like that.
Since you guys are out in the field looking around, it might look strange if Solomon just kind of appeared in AR next to you. So you guys get comlink messages. It would be Blackthorn, right?
Yes.
So it says Blackthorn is at the hotel. He has arrived safely. Shall I give him locations to find you guys, or would you rather return to the hotel?
Ascalon will reply one moment and then shoot a different message to the rest of the team. Meet out in the field or rendezvous back.
How long have we been out here surveying?
A few hours. You probably went in before noon, and it's now about 4:30.
Have we gotten anybody coming in and out of this building?
A few people have come in. Nobody that looks suspicious for any real reason other than the fact that they're entering the building. At one point, a vehicle leaves, and if somebody trails it or has the spirit trail it, it goes into town. The northern side of town, so not towards where the hotel is, seems to stop at a store. Local supply store, and a person that looks like a servant the way he's dressed walks out, and about a half hour later comes back with a cart full of a bunch of stuff that he loads in the back of the vehicle, and then returns to the castle.
Was he alone?
He was alone, yes.
Okay.
And then if somebody's still near the castle when he returns, he drives through the front gate. The guards do stop and open it for him, and then it stops inside. They unload it, and then the car leaves and goes to a house not too far away. The car does not stay there.
And the servant is with the car the whole time, right?
Yes.
So the servant doesn't stay there? Okay.
Actually, yes, the servant is with the car.
Okay, so he's got his own house off the property of the castle.
Yes.
Did we see when he came in or no?
No, he was there presumably when whoever got to the castle and started watching.
Okay. Let's see, last question I had. When they let him in the gate or whatever, did I see any kind of security run on him or anything like that? Nothing, any obvious at least?
No, the guards that are walking along the upper level there got close enough, and then they seemed to look down at it. The car did stop there, and it took a minute for the internal gates to open up before he went through, but they didn't seem to go down and check on him at all.
Sweet. That might be a way in. Okay. All right, then let's go ahead and go back to the hotel. And with that, I have to make a phone call. It's really important, so I will be back again.
Okay.
Okay.
So everybody else can start heading back to the hotel, too?
Yeah, I think so, probably.
All right.
Joe, just for my own knowledge, what would Blackthorn be told about this crew? Is there a is there an actual ranked leader? What's their what's their clearance level? Things like that. Things that should I use discretion when it comes to information? Are these trusted agents? Things like that.
They are trusted agents. There's no rank leader. I don't think anybody's actually deemed a hierarchy for leadership position yet. They are the field team, so they are trusted with discretionary knowledge. They are aware that the Vatican does have some secret organizations. They are one of those that you would know of. Not much more than that. They are all equipped with cover identities for the Vatican, so if caught, they actually will be acknowledged by the Vatican. They're one of those teams. They're not disposable assets. They are, I don't know what the right word would, people that the Vatican would step into hot water for the right reasons, instead of just, nope, we never heard of them, we don't know who they are.
Okay.
So it's not too long before you would hear people coming back, because the rooms are fairly close together. I think they ordered 3 rooms, and there's probably only 10 rooms to a floor, 5 on either side of the hallway.
All right. So when it's apparent that they're coming, I'll just go ahead and leave my room door open and sit on a chair, like at a small desk in my room, and just kind of wait for them to walk up.
Okay. See, Scaly's gone, but everybody else here. When you guys get to the hotel, Solomon is standing outside of a door that is slightly open, and he points in there. Whether you go to your rooms first or not, that's what he's doing.
I'm back. Sorry.
Excellent.
I might be a little back and forth. The kid I tutor is having issues, so he's going to send me some problems on his math and try to figure it out. All right, so I did hear what he said, though. I'll go into his room. I don't see any reason why not to go in there.
Yeah, we'll go introduce ourselves.
All right, so let's start with getting a description from Thorn.
Okay. So as you walk in, Thorn stands up to greet you. He keeps himself very put together. He's not quite 2 meters tall, just under 90 kilograms, white hair. He's an elf of rather athletic build. He's not like overly muscular, but he's certainly not portly or anything like that. He's very classic, good-looking elf. He's roughly 30, on the lower end of 30 years old. He dresses basically in all white, and to kind of match his platinum blonde hair. No visible cyberware or anything like that. Has kind of an aristocratic demeanor to him. Doesn't carry any open weapons. Has a travel knapsack that he has just laying on the bed. That has it's lumpy, so it's very apparent that there may be a weapon or 2 in there, but nothing huge.
Let's get Asura next.
All right. Asura is a female elf. She probably looks around 40-ish. She's also just under 2 meters tall. She probably looks similar in height and weight as the other. Look at that. And weighs about 90 kilograms. Look at that. We're about the same.
We could share clothes.
Yes, we could. Although, she probably dresses a little bit more, no, he's probably in that almost same sort of, yeah, I mean, she's sort of in she'd probably be in somewhat of like a hiking, oh no, we went with the tourist look, didn't we? Yeah, she went all tourist on this one. So she looks like a tourist, so that probably does it like so blatantly like a tourist, it's sad. Otherwise, let's see. Yeah, she probably, I don't believe we were carrying around weapons or anything. Yeah, she probably doesn't have any weapon on her or anything like that at the moment. Overall, I mean, she holds herself pretty well. Probably, I'm trying to think how you might imagine her. I imagine her, she's like lived a fairly good life, so she seems happier than probably everybody else.
All right, how about Adranus?
What? I'm just high. No, I basically look a lot like the picture I have for him in Roll20. He wears glasses. He's actually a rather good-looking orc. And right now, as Scaly said, we're kind of dressed up as tourists, so he's wearing some regular clothes, a vest, and a armor jacket, of travel design, I guess would be a good term for it. He's about 6'3", very athletic looking, and he has blonde hair, though not platinum blonde.
All right, Ascalon.
So, Ascalon's a freak show of the group by far. He's a Wakayambi elf, So he's tall and thin and very naturally graceful. He's surged, so he's got bioluminescence, so he's always got a bit of a blue glow around him, even in the daytime. He has silver skin pigmentation and metallic gold dreadlocks. So he really kind of stands out. He wears fairly nice clothing and has a Highlander Forge claymore strapped at a belt along the waist. You notice that he has almost angelic presence of him that you can't quite pin it on. It's just this radiant aura and feeling you get from him.
Okay. I'll nod in greeting and say, I have been sent here by Solomon. I'm assuming that you have been given my dossier.
Yes, greetings. Welcome. We've been expecting you. It'll be good to have you.
The statue, where exactly is it?
I think we had Ascalon holding on to it, didn't we?
Ascalon or L, for sake of progression, we'll say Ascalon has it.
So I'll go ahead and get it out of its holding receptacle of some kind and hand it over to you, making sure not to touch it as much as I can.
Okay. As soon as you pull it out, I immediately look over to whoever's closest to the door and just kind of nod like you might want to close that.
I'll take care of that.
It is 6 inches tall. Oracle comes, so it is golden-ish. The head is about 3 inches of the 6 inches. So half of it is head. The rest of it is the body and the limbs and stuff. The head is very over-exaggerated, as well as the physical features, which does indicate that it is mostly a fertility issue icon, type icon.
Okay. As you're handing it over, I reach into my my coat pockets and pull very thin, almost like isotoner black gloves, and I'll take the idol and I'll just kind of reverently lay it on the bed and just kind of hover over it for a moment. It's
go ahead.
It's certainly beautiful. Fertility icon, and I'll point out the obvious features that are pretty universal when it comes to fertility idols and things like that. And then I'll say it was found here locally, correct?
That's correct. It was found in kind of an odd place. We did not expect to find this of all things.
Do you have an image link recording of it? The surroundings, things like that?
Yeah, I'll kind of flip over an AR to you, a kind of a camera feed of us going into the church and then down into the pit and kind of doing our work around there and then coming out. So you'll have the whole shebang-a-bang.
The tomb under the church was roughly, what I say, like 4 meters around. It was almost circular, but not smoothly circular. There was enough room for a central stone table of some sort, which was evidence to have held a casket-style thing. There were drag marks of where it was removed. There was a little bit of room to either side of it, but not a whole lot of room. And then on the south side of that chamber, about 2 feet off the ground, was the start of that 2 foot by 2 foot block that pushed inward and then led to the chamber, which was, I think I put the dimensions in the Google Doc if I hadn't closed it.
Yeah, I'm looking. Yeah, 10 meter by 6 meter room with 2 dead mummified bodies.
Yeah, so 10 meters wide, 6 meters from the wall you entered into the far wall, with the 2 dead mummified bodies on the side. One of them had a mason's trowel. Along the perimeter of the room were the remains of what used to be wooden structures that didn't survive, and it was in some of those wooden remains where the statue was found.
These wooden remains, were the dimensions such that maybe it was some sort of like a storage area, maybe like they were placed in some sort of a box, or was it some sort of like a display?
More box style. There was enough wood that a box would make more sense than a display or a shelving system.
Okay, so as I'm kneeling over it and I'm looking at it kind of, and I'm out of the corner of my eye looking at the AR display of them entering the room and everything, I look up and I'll say, it was the image isn't very clear. Were there any hieroglyphics or any markings anywhere?
Yep, you'll get another new feed of some of the more highlighted stuff that we found in the room. Pictograms and whatnot detailing a story, but none of us were able to make sense out of it. I'm not sure if it actually had any in-game knowledge to transmit or not.
Blackthorn can roll if he has any type of pattern recognition skills or qualities, and any particular skill that might help with hieroglyphics or ancient languages. You may roll that as a teamwork test on a perception check.
I have religious iconography.
That will work. You can roll that first, and then any hits you generate, you can add those dice to a perception check.
Oh, I will inform Blackthorn that the trowel appears to be magical in nature if he wants to assess it.
Really?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised too.
Out of character, did we ever determine, based on the room and how it was put together, whether or not we thought that those people were closed in from the crypt side, or if they were trying to keep the crypt from hidden? Like, could we make that determination?
They were put in there. They knew where the exit was, and
they sealed it up.
They sealed it up. So they went in there knowingly.
So Ascalon will also share this information.
So they went in willingly.
It would appear so.
And besides the trowel, the two bodies, and then a bunch of wood, which who knows what was on those originally that just may not have survived. The statue is the only other thing that they found in there that survived. Now there was a fairly detailed picking through of the remains too, so it's not like they missed something unless it was very well hidden, but it would have had to have been purposefully hidden. And there were no other ways out of that room that they could find.
So it's safe to assume that they magically walled themselves into this room.
Yes.
Okay. I got 4 successes on my religious iconography.
Okay. So with the perception check, when you're looking through this and the filter of the religious iconography, add those 4 dice to a perception check. The limit, we'll go with your normal mental limit for this. Oh, and everybody else can have an edge point back for resting the night before going out and doing surveillance, or resting the morning before going out, or rather.
So 2 successes on the perception.
Are you happy with that, or would you like to spend an edge to reroll failures?
I'll go ahead and spend an edge. Now, when it comes to roll 20, how do I reroll failures?
The sheet probably doesn't have it, so just / roll however many d6 greater than 5.
So 3 more successes.
All right, so 5 total. When you're looking through this, knowing what to look through based on what they've told you and your own knowledge, you can see the same image that Adranus noticed, where it shows a figure who is dressed in holy regalia with a staff and rays beaming from the staff onto bodies on a funeral bier, however you pronounce that, dead bodies. And you notice that in his other hand, the way it's displayed, you don't see the whole thing, but you can see a representation of the head of that statue in his other hand. And then the next scene shows those 2 dead bodies rising again, and typical iconography of celebration and rejoicing that the dead have returned.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll point that out, and I'll say that it appears that the idol itself may be a part of a set. This centralized figure it's highly open to interpretation as to who this actually is, but the most important part is the staff here and the idol itself. The idol, of course, represents life or rebirth.
I wonder if the staff was accompanying the remains of the saint.
It would be very possible that he would have, if it would have been interred with him.
In your expert opinion, would you say that having these two items to get next to each other would probably be a bad idea, good idea?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily think that it would be overly dangerous or anything like that. Items like this usually don't have the restrictions that some of the items that you or I would be used to, that talismans and foci and things like that. This is a lot bigger than that. So, and then I'd just kind of rub my hand almost like lovingly on the fertility idol, and I'll say, did anyone here or have you had this dated?
We had some guesses, but none of us were really quite certain. It was a little outside of our realm of expertise. We're more acquisitions, I think, and less hard facts of backdating research.
I see. For it to be orichalcum, it would have to be well over 5,000 years old. I would probably suggest that whoever this holy person was probably retrieved this item from elsewhere, and then it was brought here with him. I don't think it originated from here originally, although some of the markings here are very Slavic in nature, indicating probably similar to a Ukrainian pre-Christian cult of Mokosh, which is the goddess of fertility and women.
That's certainly interesting, and I don't think any of us expected finding that here.
What I look around and the group as a whole, I mean, you guys aren't particularly dressed like like vat jobs. How many of you are actually magically attuned?
I was gonna say I think everybody is, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Is Marigold also magically?
I think she's an adept.
Yeah, I would say she's an adept.
No, she's not an adept. That's right. She's completely mundane. She talks about we tried to talk to her about magic stuff. She's like, get away from me with that woodgy stuff.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh, she's got a magic attribute of a 2.
Okay, then we're all magical.
I think the finer points of magic are just lost on her.
Yeah, I think she's a low magic adept.
Okay, so what I'll do is, then once I kind of look around and I notice that everybody has, an astral signature and everything, I relax a little bit and I'll say, well, it's actually quite refreshing to be able to speak freely about this without having to explain the minutia. You are familiar with orichalcum, I presume?
Yes, familiar enough.
So, the fact that a fifth world saintly figure would have something from the fourth world is rather odd. It would be seen as heretical, especially back then, for this saint person to be carrying something like this.
And yet they were still sainted. That is curious.
As canon law states, a saint must perform miracles, and raising the dead would certainly be counted as that.
I wonder if maybe the miracles were performed and the church at the time didn't know where the source of that came from. It could certainly lead one to saint somebody if they did not have that knowledge of what was being used.
My concern, of course, would be that a person such as this figure, this person, especially back then, wouldn't have the means to tap into the power. Even if this was a battery, a mana battery of some sort, still they would have to have tapped into it somehow, unless he had some sort of a latent power, perhaps a spike baby of some sort. But he would have had to have been elven for that, for what I understand.
Well, what about ley lines? Is there a ley line that crosses through this territory at all that may have, I don't know, given it juice?
Now nobody's really sensed outside to look. Ley lines tend to go in more wild places, but this isn't the most civilized of places either. And since you guys have had some time, somebody may attempt to assense the statue and or the trowel again, and you may even do a teamwork test if you wish.
Not really my cup of tea.
For a group test like that, you would assign one person to be like the primary, and everybody else would assist. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So even if it wasn't something that you were really like keen on, you could still lend a hand.
Yeah.
Really, all you're just doing is just adding your perception to it.
Yeah, as long as you can astrally perceive and can sense, you can point out a few little, hey, wait, you might have missed this detail here. Even though you're not helping decipher it, you're still helping to point some things out.
Right. So what I'll do is I'll take my gloves off at this point, and then I'll say, if you're really wanting to know more details, I could look more deeply at this. But something this old may have could have a malevolence to it. There's a chance that I could get lost in it. So I may need you, one or more of you, to anchor me before I partake of this the sensing of this thing.
We'll say L is willing to assist if I can find his sensing.
The test or what it is?
L? No, I'm trying to find it on his character sheet.
Oh, not mine. But okay, sorry, my bad.
So if anybody else wishes to assist, they can roll their sensing. You can have 2 more dice.
Okay, so rolling a sensing with 2 extra dice?
Yeah. It should, when you click it, it should pop up with a modifier window you can add to there. If you wish to edge something before you roll to get the exploding 6s, there is an edge button up at the top. You actually have to click it, and then when you roll, it will automatically add your edge and explode it, but you have to remember to click it to turn it off again, or else it will add it to everything you roll while it's clicked.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'll edge beforehand.
Oh,
I got 3 successes on my sensing.
Okay, so 5 more, up to the limit of your sensing skill. What is Thorn's sensing skill?
I have a rating 6.
Okay, so you can use all 5 of those bonus dice then.
11 successes.
All right, for this, I'm going to say you guys are sensing this for about a half an hour. It's not an immediate thing, finding all the minutia and stuff. And you can tell after this time that this statue, it radiates a very minor magical aura, to the point where after some study and analyzing of it, you think that even in an absence of magic, this thing would allow up to a single point of magical skill, knowledge, whatever, to be used. And with that, magical artifacts that may not have had any mana to draw on in close proximity to this would have still functioned in a very limited manner.
So after the time passes, and then everybody kind of sees that, I kind of look around and I nod and I say, it's confirmed. Something like this was always speculated at. There was no actual hard evidence, at least outside of perhaps the knowledge of some of the old ones, or the dragons may have known of some of these things, but this is a rare find. This is something that it proves certain theories and disproves other theories that have been around for 1,000 years.
So how do we get this thing out of here at this point?
And another thing everybody notices that helped anyway, the natural manosphere is already more powerful than this. So since the awakening, this thing would be very easy to overlook in what it does, because it's overpowered by the natural magic in the area.
Also, I mean, here's another question now. Is this geographical specific? Like, it's only tuned to this area. If we take it out of this area, will it still function in other areas? Or would we lose the benefit?
I don't believe that it is precisely tied to this area. And just by its very nature, I mean, the things that it's very weak in comparison to everything. I mean, just your standard street mage could cast could draw more mana from just his surroundings than could be used by this item. This item is really not all that powerful in respects to modern magical accoutrement, but what it does is it proves that magic existed previous to this world. And if this the saint figure, perhaps the staff, perhaps he used the battery, this here, and I point at the statue, this here, the battery fueled the power of the staff. So the staff itself nowadays would be immensely more powerful. The pictographs show that the staff was used to raise two two from the dead, and that's using to put it in very very basic terms, using a AA battery. Now it has the entire power of a the Hoover Dam to power this thing. You could raise thousands of people, theoretically.
Huh. Ascalon looks a little bit lost, but he's still following along.
Does anybody have parazoology or a knowledge of paracritters or parasapiens?
I do.
What is your skill exactly?
2 rank.
Sorry, say that again?
2.
No, I mean, what is the skill? Is it parazoology or is it something else?
Parazoology.
Okay, you can roll your parazoology. I don't think 2 is enough, but Solomon, his icon, his persona image appears in the room with a concerned look on his face.
I have identified a Solomon.
Since the DC Rift has closed, there are reports of Shedim looking for artifacts that can open portals to their home metaplane. What if the raising of the dead wasn't actually raising of the dead, but providing hosts?
Opening a gate for the horrors to come through.
Yes.
Well, remember, the horrors haven't exactly been confirmed yet. We got Shedim. What do we need horrors for?
But what if that's why this was raided? Somebody else found out about this somehow and is looking for a way to open a portal for the Shedim.
I've got a question.
Somebody a hell of a lot higher ranking than me should have been sent.
I know, right?
With my knowledge of magical artifacts, is there such a thing as maybe like linked artifacts? Maybe this item was maybe they worked in conjunction, and you could power this other item through this battery, maybe easier, or gain control of it easier. Is that something that I would know about?
As in now, if having them close together would help? Probably not, other than the implication that in the absence of magic, this might have had a manosphere close enough to allow another artifact to be used when it wouldn't normally be usable.
But out of character, the answer is technically yes, because there was a whole artifact war over it. Not these specific items, but there are certain artifacts. Yeah, like the coins of luck. If you actually bring all 7 coins of luck together, they're not exactly sure what happens, but there's a specific reason why the dragons are keeping them apart.
So yeah, there's suppositions that it would happen. There's also suppositions of what happens if you can bring the entire tarot together too.
Yeah, we'll go with that one too, but I was just thinking the 7 coins of luck and how damn important it was to keep them apart.
I might postulate an alternative theory, if I may. What if the idol wasn't used specifically, or last used specifically to fuel the staff, but used to fuel, and then I point at the trawl. Those people who walled themselves in there magically walled themselves in. They had to use, and then I point at the idol, the battery to fuel the trawl to magically seal themselves in.
Have we confirmed the troll could do that, or?
Nobody's tested it or looked at it further yet.
Yeah, all I got is that it's a spell focus of some sort. I don't know what specific spell it was, spell school it was designed for.
Yeah, we're more field agents than we are academic research and study.
What I miss, I feel like I missed something here. A big something. This sounded like it turned something big.
A half hour went by of everybody studying the statue, or a few people studying the statue, and found out that it emits a low-level manosphere localized around it. And the presumption of that even in the fifth age, when there was no magic, this thing had a manosphere around it, so low magic these could be used in conjunction with it. And then upon going over the image of the engravings in the room, they found a small image of the statue being held by the guy in the drawings with a staff raising the dead. And then Solomon popped in with some knowledge of recently Shadim have been looking for artifacts all over the place to help them open gateways to their metaplane so that they could bring more in, because they used to get in.
I popped in at that point, so I heard the rest of it. All right, now I feel better. I was just a little confused. Okay.
And then another thing that dawns on Thorn at this point, your information said that there were 5 in the team, and even though one's cardboard cutout at the moment, there's only 4 present.
Okay, so as I'm kind of sitting there just staring at the idol and then kind of looking over at the trawl, then I just kind of, out of the corner of my eye, I'll look over at Ascalon and say, "Where is your other member?"
Currently missing.
She was doing some work last night, checking around the castle, possibly getting into it. We are concerned that she has gotten herself into some trouble in the castle.
And she knows that, and she is aware that the idol here is in your possession. And if she were to be captured and questioned, then its whereabouts would possibly be at risk.
Maybe, although I don't believe we figured out what it was before she left. So she wouldn't know that much about it.
But it is a potential security concern, yes.
Yes.
Okay. I'll go ahead and assense the trawl. It's a spell focus of some sort. I want to find out exactly what its purpose was, just to kind of answer that question, maybe put another piece to the puzzle. If that's okay.
I missed that. Say that again.
I'm going to go ahead and assense the trawl.
Okay. You can roll a sensing.
Can I assist him in that, or since I've already taken my shot?
You can assist, but you're at -1. No, sorry, -2, since you've already tried sensing it before.
2 successes to assist.
Okay, so 2 bonus dice.
6 successes.
That is.
I think he did better than I did.
So starting from the beginning, you get that this is a magical subject. It is a spell foci. It is a Force 2 spell foci. It has a magical signature besides that attached to it. It seems to, see the general cause. It is a manipulation spell, and through a little bit more work, it has Shape Stone as one of its abilities. To anybody bonded to this foci, they can use Shape Stone spell for free at a force equal to the foci force, so Force 2.
Okay, so yeah, and I look over at Adronis as we both kind of look at it, and then I'll give him a nod and I'll say, Shape Stone.
And yep, that's what they used to seal themselves in. I wonder if they were trying to basically keep the idol, or keep this stuff out of certain people's hands.
It would certainly appear so. Although it's curious as to if they wanted to keep it away from locals, then why wouldn't they relocate it somewhere else? Unless, of course, they were relocating it from elsewhere to here. Suggesting
you're saying this is, they locked themselves away during the 5th Age and whatnot. Well, there are certain turmoil times that occurred throughout the Fifth Age in this general region. Conquerors and whatnot. Maybe they were just trying to duck and cover while some invading army strolled through and didn't take something that was precious to the community.
Didn't we also determine that the room that those people were stored up in was prior to the cathedral being built?
Yes, the room was prior to the cathedral being built.
So it's very likely that they erected the cathedral, much like many other very old churches built on old Roman sites. A lot of church grounds were built over former areas of worship, pagan worship.
Everybody give me an audio perception check.
Ooh, it helps that I'm keen-eared.
What? I didn't hear that.
What?
Perception?
Yes, audio, if you have anything for audio.
Wait. Should I get something for audio for Elf or no? I don't remember.
Absolutely.
All right. Did I not put it on my sheet?
No, elves don't get a bonus to perception.
What? That sucks. They're big, giant ears. Come on. All right.
You get a bonus to charisma and agility. Hush.
It's like that scene from Star Trek 3. Yes, how can you be deaf with ears that big?
Oh, well, I didn't need it. Look at that. 4 hits. No, that's you.
No,
I got 4 too.
Also.
I got 5.
So everybody hears this. From down the hall, a few doors down, you hear a knocking on a door. And then a voice, is anybody in there? It's important. And they knock again.
Anybody what?
Is anybody in there? It's important. And then they knock again. And judging by how far down the hall it is, it's at one of your guys' other rooms.
Well, then I'll go outside and see what's going on.
Do I recognize the voice at all?
No.
Okay.
Should I be concerned?
We don't know yet.
I'd just pull out my pistol real quick, check it, and put it back away. Who knows?
Standing out there, knocking on a door, is a good-looking human, male, middling height, maybe 5'11", decent build, square jaw. He seems not exactly athletic, but fit. He is dressed in not exactly tourist clothes, but nothing fancier. More functional clothes for being out in the elements. A few pockets, a bit thicker of clothing. He turns. Are you? He tilts his head slightly. I remember you. He kind of glances both ways down the hall. Can we talk in private?
Absolutely. And I will direct him to not this room, but one of the other rooms that we're staying in.
As you speak to him and start to move, he kind of stares at you momentarily before doing a double take and following you. I saw you last night, this morning. There was a woman with you. She, as I was, and then he stops and kind of collects himself and holds out his hand. Call me Orion. Tombstone Orion.
Greetings, Mr. Tombstone Orion. Please continue.
Well, while I'm here, it doesn't really matter, I guess, but I was watching the cathedral last night, and I noticed you entering it and then leaving it later. And just so happened that this morning, just before dawn, I noticed that your companion was being taken into the castle.
Yes, that confirms what we had thought. Are you local resident?
No, I'm here on business, though I think it might be the same business as you are. He pulls out from his back pocket, almost like a academic-style newsletter, and it's printed on there about how religious relics turn up missing from a cathedral in the Ukraine, things like that, and it's a whole lot of supposition and spin. It's very sensationalized. It doesn't seem to be a reliable source of all. More like a university newsletter type thing, or faculty
Right.
newsletter or something. I came to check this out. I have a feeling that you are too. And he kind of looks you up and down again.
Ascalon just smiles politely but says nothing.
Anyway, I was watching the castle, and I was going to come out earlier, and then I noticed that one of your others seemed to poke around and watch the castle for a bit, so I figured you knew, but then, well, you guys, he left, and nobody's been back, and I figured that maybe you didn't know.
We appreciate your attention and bringing your help in bringing this to our attention. We had made the same assumption, but now we are certain, and I want to thank you for assisting us. This will help us in our cause of helping this community.
He nods. Anything I can do to assist?
Possibly. Let's exchange comm codes, and if you're staying close by, we may call on you for your assistance, as you seem amenable to what we're here to do.
Sure. He sends you his comm code. I'm staying in my rig on the outskirts. Not too far away, though, if you need anything.
Okay, we'll keep you in touch.
And then he kind of nervously, looking at you again because of the impressive visage, shakes himself again and leaves.
I'll give him the customary kind of like, go with God, be safe, all that good stuff. And then once he's gone, I'll return back.
Anything interesting?
So you guys would have had video of that?
Oh, yeah, you always do that.
Yeah. So you would have had video and you would have heard the conversation as well.
Okay, well, that confirms that.
So
Well,
I see us as having two big issues to tackle here. First is that, and Ascalon will point to the statue, making sure not to really say much about it, needs to be addressed. And then our associate, who we now have confirmation where she is. I'm not sure which is the more urgent at this point.
well, if they're both in the castle, then we can address both of them at the same time. If not, then the castle is still probably our only real lead as to where anything is. So whichever one happens to be in the castle is what we deal with first.
Blackthorn, you didn't have any traveling companions here that might be able to see to the statue's safe return back to Rome, do you?
I have some local contacts, but it would probably be safest if I were to escort it myself.
And how do you feel about field work?
Well, I'm no stranger to field work, of course. It's not my forte, but I'm not without my uses.
So I'm open to suggestions on how you guys want to approach our next steps here. We can either try and break in or announce ourselves. We don't really know much about the Lord other than we think maybe he's responsible for the disappearance of the saints' remains, but we're not certain.
Well, I may have a way to get in, and we might be able to sneak you guys in. I'm not sure yet. It depends. There's a servant that I noticed that seems the guards are comfortable with leaving and coming and going, and he actually lives outside the castle. If we could use him to get ourselves in, possibly early morning when he's supposed to be going to work, it doesn't look like they care that much about security for someone they're familiar with.
I could always use a spirit for...
Oh, welcome. You're back.
He was very nice and didn't interrupt us.
He just wanted me to struggle.
Yes.
I can't think on my own.
I cast improved invisibility, so staying at 4/6, and I stand there now that I've disappeared.
But yeah, that's I should be able to if we intercept him at his home and use his vehicle, it's likely they won't even really check his vehicle at all, and that should get us into the castle, at least through a servant's entrance.
Okay.
From there, though, it's going to be a bit more tricky, especially if without without having an idea of what the layout of the castle is. The guards, I don't know how many. There's some on the wall, but there's no way to tell how many are inside, but they seem fairly well armed. So, things could get tricky if they find us. I know the object here is to sort of hopefully get in and out without being noticed, but I think that's already been questioned already with the loss of one.
Yes, that ship has already sailed.
I still don't want to make too much noise, so I don't wish to create a giant gunfight in the middle of the castle if we don't need to.
Correct, as per our orders and our mission statement. Minimal impact.
Yeah. So if we can get in and out with just, simple, with as little commotion as possible would be the best.
Still just standing there, invisible.
Did you just go invisible in front of us just because?
You're like, how do we sneak in? Next question?
Yes, you can do that for all of us. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Although sustaining that many is going to be fun for you.
It'll be a little drain. The irony is also that I'm only at -1 penalty for sustain for everybody.
Oh, you have some fun stuff with sustaining, don't you?
I have drugs. They are my friends.
I see.
So much for that purity of body and spirit.
Hey, I took a vow of chastity, not a vow of purity.
Yeah. Anyway, so if I use the car and the servant to get the doors open, you guys should be able to sneak into the doors if you're invisible.
That works with me.
I mean, we could climb over the wall and stuff like that, but why not? Why go through that much effort, right?
Precisely.
All right. First, I think I need to get to know who this servant is. Let's see if I can go get to know him. So I'll get to know him a little bit and come back later on and let you know what's going on.
Well, I think Blackthorn has to make a decision here.
Oh, he does?
Oh, no, you go talk to the guy. You get Blackthorn either on board or figure out what he's doing while we're doing this.
Okay. All right. Well, I know where the guy lives, so I'm going to go head towards his house while they do that.
Oh, hey, also, don't forget to go talk to the baker contact that we got here. He may be able to give you some insight into that guy if you need it.
Okay, fair enough. Actually, I will go talk to the baker first, if they're still open. It's not that late, right?
Right now, it's probably 6 p.m.
They might be closing. I'll check the baker first. See if they're open still.
Well, I have his comm code, right? Or
no, you were told that he worked in the local bakery. You were given the bakery info, and you were given his name.
Okay. And was there any way for him to designate who it was who was coming to talk to him, or?
No, you were given a phrase to say when you met him that would inform him who sent him. Who sent
okay.
You.
I give the phrase to Scaly's character so he can hopefully.
Fair enough. All right, so I'll head to the baker first and see if they're open still.
I'm not sure improved invisibility will work on me.
No, probably not.
You're anti-invisible?
It's anti-magic.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's not going to work for you. That's okay. You can be in the car with me. It's all good. You, like you said, conceal yourself with a spirit. It'll be fine.
So, Blackthorn, what do you think is the best course of action for you in this case, especially if we go poking around inside this castle?
Well, I'll sit there, just ponder for a second. Then there's very high probability that there was more than just this idol in that area. Is that correct?
I would think so, yes.
So it's very likely that this item, as much of a treasure as it is, represents the least significant find in that room.
To interject, we had the secret room that we found Oricocum item, the idol item, but the other room was much more recent and known and renovated. So if there is something else, it may not be part of the idol.
Based on some of his study of some of the iconography, we think that there's probably a corresponding staff someplace that would have been close by. Maybe not, but
More than likely it was buried with the saint.
Yeah, that sounds.
And the saint's remains are where?
We believe they were confiscated by the lord of the castle.
Okay. So, in light of all of this, and with the high probability that there is an item of immense power in the possession, or this lord could be in the possession of an item of immense power, it's very likely that though the nature of my mission here was to identify this idol, I believe that it would be more in the vein of my purpose to actually investigate and make sure that this person doesn't have something that is potentially devastating. So that said, I believe that I will come with you to, but if your task of retrieving your friend is primary in your concern, which I understand. I do not ask any of you to pursue the item if you do not wish.
I think that it is probably in all of our best interest to pursue that to make sure that it stays within safe hands, considering what we found so far and what we know.
What do we know about this lord?
That is a really good question that...
As a recap, you know...
Yeah, that's a lot.
The family inherited the castle in the previous century, and then before that. And then in the 19s or so, I believe, it was sold off to somebody else that used it as a tourist site. They opened it up to tour, they commercialized it, and things like that. And then in sometime recently, two generations ago, so early 2000s, there was a violent uprising, and it came under purview Sangusco family, who was the previous... Sorry, my thing's here. Let me start from the beginning. 1682 was inherited by the Sobieski family. During the first half of the 1700s is when the cathedral was constructed, and the icon was crowned by Pope Benedict XIV. 1728, the castle was purchased by the Rzuski family and expanded by Wacław Rzuski. He was the one that was the lord when the cathedral, the Roman Catholic Church, was built here. From 1869 to 1939, it became the property of the Sangusco family. And then in 1939, it was changed to the commercialized people that did tours or whatever. Nobody exactly knows what happened to the Sangusco family. And then in the early 2000s, Rogov Sangusco violently took it back and named himself Lord of the Castle again. Or rather, Rogov is the current Lord, but the head of the Sangusco family at that time violently took it back.
I think it was the grandfather,
Yes.
but nobody cared. So, this is a remote area. None of the nation states cared, was what I meant.
Yeah, locally nobody cared. For the first generation that held it after that was very violent and oppressive. The second generation, so the previous lord, was a bit more mellowed out. And then this time around, nobody seems to know much because he cut off all the tours, all of the public access to it, and is pretty isolated. There's a few guards. They know that the current lord has ties to Evo, but that's about it.
Okay. So I could either go in with you guys, however you're going to go in. I could go, they obviously know that I'm here. I could also go in and play the historian role and just going there looking for historical lore, and just kind of BS my way as almost maybe a distraction while you guys get in and do what you're going to do.
I'm sorry, could I miss that? What?
Well, I could go in with you guys as, we can go in as a unit. Or I could go and play the historian, bumbling historian role and just go there as if I'm there doing field research and just BS my way while you guys are doing the actual job.
Well, I'm right in assessing that we don't think that our compatriot went into the castle willingly once she was spotted or whatever, correct?
Seemed to indicate she was taken.
Yeah, so they might get really suspicious if some random stranger suddenly shows up and is like, "Hi, I'm this bumbling historian." So unfortunately, it sounds like we're going to have to go in as a unit, because if we try to come in and announce ourselves, I'm just very fearful that a lot of bad things are going to happen, such as they just don't accept us, and we cause more problems than it's worth. So I think we should just go in as a group, try to sneak in the best we can, and if need be, get back out. Finding our compatriot is a priority, but also we got to figure out, is there any way we can use the idol? I mean, the idol was attached to the staff, is our assumption, correct?
In what way?
A long time ago.
Well, what I'm saying is would it still have an astral link to each other so that we could use to track?
It wasn't linked in that way. It was more of a proximity. So just having the staff near it let the staff work.
Wouldn't something that big, astrally speaking, wouldn't that be like a beacon?
The idol?
No, the staff.
It could be. Astrally, it would probably be very easy to find. It might be one of the aspects that helps it to open gateways to a different metaplane to actually let beings in.
Well, I was just hoping. Wait a minute. The idol, wouldn't it still have the astral signature of the last person it was attuned to? Or is death does it end?
It's working now. The idol doesn't need to be attuned. It's not a foci of any sort.
Oh, so it's independently powered type thing. Okay.
Yeah.
The trawl is a spell foci that allows shape stone. So we don't necessarily need to go in any door or window. We could just go through the wall.
But we'd have to attune it.
Yeah, the trial you'd have to attune to. Somebody would have
that
to
would
buy
take
it.
That would take what, 3 days? It's 2 days. Force 2, right?
I think it's 2 hours to bond a foci. It's force hours.
Oh, and it would also have to be under our school of magic. Was this Christian Thurgy?
No, that you don't have to worry about.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I could attune it, though I don't. But I don't have the shape Earth spell.
What does this actually give you, that kind of ability, or what does it
Yes,
actually do?
The spell is attached to the trowel itself.
Ah, okay. Well, that's handy. Well, here's another question. How effective is the... Oh, I'm not there. I don't know why I'm having this conversation. Go ahead.
It's a force 2, so that would be the limit on the spell casting, correct?
That's the assumption at the moment. If you know the spell, works as a spell foci for, the spell. But if you don't know the spell, you can cast it up to a force 2.
I have never looked at that spell in my life.
I didn't even know there was a shapestone spell.
It's shape element spell.
I think it's in Street Grimoire.
So, there's that option.
But it is definitely more than enough to smooth out a wall and do engravings on the wall and seal up the stone that was to block it up.
Oh, basically you could repair the wall that we destroyed.
It'd probably be a good test. Instead of relying on me to be able to do this right out the gate. All right, give me 2 hours. That is Blackthorn, if you'll authorize that.
So concrete has a structure of 12. Castle is before concrete. It's probably, brick would be suitable, so it's structure 10. So 5 combat turn, 15 seconds to get through a 4-meter diameter wall. Not actually bad.
And that's just using the tool as the spell and not having any other magical mojo going with it, right?
Right. The Manosphere now is enough to... You don't need the idol for it. So anybody that can actually bond to it can use it. And it's force 2 foci, so it would give 2 extra dice on using it for as far as how fast you can move stuff around.
As it comes to the trawl itself, that's the church would find that rather insignificant. It's just a basic spell focused. Yeah. So yeah, using it to you can probably keep that. It's the idol that the church would be more interested in.
Yeah, that they're going to confiscate when it comes back. The idol, who cares? I mean, the trowel, who cares?
Well, so it sounds like we've got several good options at this point now. Maybe the trowel is a backup?
Or an escape way.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Yeah, so I still need the 2 hours to bind it.
Okay.
But as I said, only if Blackthorn will authorize it, since this is a possibly highly valuable artifact.
The trawl?
Yeah, considering they used it in the 5th Age.
I would probably say it would be okay. Like I said, the church wouldn't find it that it was used is less significant than the fact that there was a power source.
It's not like you're destroying the thing.
Yeah, but I mean, it's you bind it. It takes a little while to unbind them.
No, yeah, but it's if you found a foci on, it's not that big of the statuette. It might be confiscated. Keep it out of hands of everybody else that might want the thing if they find out about it.
Yes.
Yes, the trawl has more historical significance rather than anything else. Well, maybe in the eyes of the church, it would be back a long time ago. It would have been considered witchcraft or heresy, but now it's more of just a historical oddity.
Yeah, not like huge or anything. It's not like they wouldn't take it if you offered it to them, but they're probably not gonna.
No, I just didn't want to bind something when they send somebody all the way out here to pick it up.
Yeah, well, that's not technically what we're here to pick up, so it's fine.
Yeah, I'll say you do not require my approval, but if that's what you seek, then you have it.
All right, I will start focusing on the foci.
The Topps Company Inc. has sole ownership of the names, logos, artwork, marks, photographs, sounds, audio, video, and/or any proprietary material used in connection with the game Shadowrun. The Topps Company Inc. has given permission to Relative Dimension to use such names, logos, artwork, marks, and/or any proprietary materials for promotional and informational purposes on its website, but does not endorse and is not affiliated with Relative Dimension in any official capacity whatsoever. Relative Dimension is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial 4.0 International License. You can share us, but please give us credit.
The intro is church music from Sirenscape.
The outro is Double Cross, off the Shadowrun Return soundtrack, used with permission from Harebrained Schemes. And thank you to Sirenscape for the additional music and sound effects. You can find more information at sirenscape.com. If you would like to get in touch with the Relative Dimension, you can visit our website at relativedimension.com. You can contact us, email, at podcast@relativedimension.com. You can visit our Facebook at facebook.com/relativedimensionpodcast. You can check us out on Twitter at RelativeDpod. You can check out our Patreon if you wish to support us at patreon.com/relativedimension.